Okay, here's a really quick video just to walk you through the steps you'll need to complete in order to submit your formative task, the data dictionary. The first thing I recommend you doing is opening up the entry event for this project, which is of course the letter. We'll notice when we have a look at the letter, there's some diseases in here that they ask you to focus on. But at this point in time, I want you to forget all about the list of diseases. The other thing that we'll find in this entry event is a list of the things you need to know about each of the diseases. So treatment, symptoms, type of disease it is, how to manage it, if there are any vaccinations available, how it's transmitted and where it's most prevalent. So these are the things that we need to know about each of the diseases, and this is where we start. So the first thing we do is we start to make a list of the things we want to know about the diseases. So treatment, symptoms, type of disease. We also have management. We have if there are any vaccinations. That sounds like a question to me. Modes of transmission, so how it's spread and where it is most prevalent, and I assume that's going to be a country or countries. The other thing that we probably also want to know about the disease is its name, disease name. There might be a whole range of other things that you would also like to know about the disease. You might like to know statistics about the fatality rate, for example. So the fatality rate would be for every 100 people that contract this disease, how many of those people would die. You might want also to know what its scientific name is. So there are a couple of things you might want to know about the disease, and there's probably heaps more that you also are interested in knowing. It would be worthwhile at this stage going back to the research notes you completed about each of the diseases and seeing what other information you were able to find out. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up here. I'm going to open up where I'm going to put my data dictionary. Now you can see that my data dictionary is labelled. It was emailed to me by Mr. Jerd. It's called surname, comma, then my first name, what class I'm in, and the words data dictionary. You're going to put your data dictionary into this document. Okay? So I'm going to start down here. You could equally start at the top. It doesn't make too big a difference. But what you do need to have in a data dictionary is 3 column headings. The first one is field name, and I'll talk these through in a second. Second one is data type, and the third one is purpose. Now, they're my headings, and we're going to fill out information under each of these headings now. First thing we need to do is take each of these disease, each of these things we brainstormed earlier, each of these things related to a disease, and each one will become a new field. So I'm going to start with disease name. I can put these in any order, it makes no difference. Treatment, symptoms, and you can see that I'm starting to copy these over into my field name. And I'll copy all of these down here. I might add extra ones if they're necessary. The next thing I need to do is I need to put down the purpose. So I've skipped a column. I'm sure you'll be able to follow along. Purpose is essentially a description of what's happening or what I'm going to put into this field. So when I think of the field name, disease name, I'm basically asking the name of the disease. Okay. When I say the field is about treatment, what I'm thinking it's going to be about would be treatment, how to treat the symptoms of the disease. Okay. When I come to symptoms, I'm going to say what happens to an individual when they contract the disease, so when they get the disease. You can see that I'm starting to just describe here essentially what's going to go into each of my fields. Okay, I'm going to add another one just because I like to use this as an example. Any vaccinations? I'm going to write here, are there any vaccinations available to prevent people catching this disease? It's a question. I better put a question mark in there. Okay, great. So I've now, believe it or not, got 2/3 of my data dictionary done. Okay, because I like to format things, I'm going to make this look pretty by adding borders. You don't have to. This is just something I like to do. The next thing I need to do is fill out the data types. Now, there's a whole range of data types that are available. The main ones you're going to focus on for this project would be the following. Text. Text allows you to pick or allows you to type in any letters, numbers, or symbols. Okay. We might also have an integer field that is any whole number. What I mean by a whole number is I mean there are no decimal places. If I want to do decimal places, I might have a real. So that's any number with decimal places. I might also decide I want a Boolean field. A Boolean field will only accept yes or no as a response. Sometimes they're also written as true or false, just so you're aware. Okay. Date, time, so that accepts a number in a set format. So that format could be day, day, month, month, year, 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 year. There are lots of other data types you can include, and if you wanted to look in OpenOffice, there are more, but they're probably our starting data types. So what I now need to do is I now need to pick for each of these fields which data type is best suited. Okay. If I know that in disease name, I'm going to allow my database user to type lots of text in, lots of letters. I don't know if there'll be any numbers or symbols, but definitely not lots of letters. My data type I should pick will be text. Okay? Again, for treatment and symptoms, I'm probably going to get a lot of information in there. So at this point in time, I'm going to allow my users to type letters, numbers, and symbols in there. When we get to this field though, which says any vaccinations, it's a question. And there are probably only two possible responses for that. Those two responses will be yes, there are vaccinations, or no, there aren't vaccinations. So when I come and have a look in my data types list, I see that a Boolean data type only allows me to say yes or no, and that's exactly what I want here. So I'm going to type in Boolean. And I would then continue to follow this process for any other fields that I decided were important enough for me to include in my data dictionary. I think probably the last thing that I have to be aware of is how I'm being marked for this to make sure that I'm doing the best I can and getting the most marks. So when we actually have a look at how I'm being marked or how you're being marked for the data dictionary, you can see that it says quite clearly you've just got to be able to plan the development of a complex solution. So if you're planning the development of a complex solution, you are planning a database. If you complete your data dictionary, you have successfully met this outcome. The next outcome speaks about you having a wide range of data required in your disease database, and that comes down to the number of fields you have. You need to at least cover every single field that was listed in the entry event, at a minimum. However, that's not a particularly wide range of fields. And you can see over here, we brainstormed a lot more different fields. So a set of extension fields, and you'd need to include those as well, at least some of them, to get a good mark for this part of the rubric, because we're looking for a wide range of relevant data. The last dot point that we're marking you on is whether you've selected appropriate data types. And those appropriate data types are in this column here. I'm going to say to you, if all of your data types are listed as text, you probably haven't shown us a good understanding of data types, and you haven't shown us that you understand how to use data types. So my recommendation would be, please make sure you use a range of these. I mean, there are 5 listed over here. There are a lot more that are actually listed when you look at OpenOffice. But you would need to list at least 3 of these, maybe more, to show me you really understand, or to show Sir you really understand about how to use data types appropriately. If you have any questions, please drop me an email. You know how to contact me, boys. Good luck.